Morning, Coach. Thanks for a few
Morning.
minutes of your time. We will take our first question today from Ross Martin.
Hey, Coach Bateman. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas. Wanted to ask about the 2022 signing class you signed. Obviously, some big names on D, including Shaw. Your thoughts on the class, especially on the defensive end, and anything in particular about the players that you recruited that you like or want to comment on?
Yeah, we're really excited about those guys. I mean, obviously Travis. I think Travis was the first kid I watched when I got hired. And he was a freshman at the time, and we were just like, look, this kid's going to be one of the top. We think he's going to be one of the top 5 or 6 players in the country, and it was true. So I think Lonnie Galloway and Tim Cross did a great job recruiting him. Coach Brown. Obviously we think he's got a chance to impact our team immediately. We felt like we had to get some guys that had real edge, edge rush, outside backer potential in this class. Bo Atkinson's here practicing with us right now. Really excited about him. I can't tell you how many, high school coaches in North Carolina, and I got a lot of respect for the high school coaches in North Carolina, have called me and said, man, Atkinson is a dude. And then the second guy they've called me about is Malachi Hamrick, who I think was MVP of 2 state title games. So you're talking about a kid, in the biggest games going to play. And then Bryson Jennings is a kid that, with I think a huge upside. Sebastian Cheeks, Tommy did a great job recruiting him, a national recruit, kid who could have gone anywhere in the country, really, big linebacker. He'll be here in a couple of weeks. We're excited about him. Deuce, we're really excited about an inside backer. And I think the 3 DBs, Tayon and Marcus, and then Will, we're fortunate to get Will at the end. I think those are 3 really smart, long, fast DBs. And I think we've been able to sign some of those guys, and it's starting to show up in the secondary, I think, right now for us.
With Travis, is he going to practice with y'all?
Hey, Andrew Jones, go ahead.
Oh.
Hey,
Ross,
Coach. Yeah,
Can I get
I think
one
Ross
more
had
in,
another
Mark, real
question.
Go ahead, Ross.
Sorry. Yeah, I think it might be a little delayed here with the audio. With Travis, is he practicing with y'all for the bowl? Do you know if that's going to happen? And how beneficial is it to get a player like him with his size in the spring to help y'all for next season?
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll be here for bowl practice. We're still trying to figure everything out. We're kind of at the mercy of the academic, when they officially graduate high school a little bit. But yeah, to get Travis here in the spring is huge. I think, to get him here with Brian Hess working out and working with Tim, I think will be huge. So I think every chance to get a big kid in the spring is huge for us.
Okay, over to Andrew Jones.
Hey, Coach, when you go back to the second half against Pitt and then what you guys did basically for 58 minutes against State, how encouraged are you that the vision that you had that this defense could become maybe started taking shape a little bit here late in the season?
Yeah, I think we made some strides. I think we were able to play what we're good at more, and I think that's going to be really important going forward. And I think the D line really started to show up. I mean, I felt like the D line against NC State was a pretty dominant force, and I think that will just continue. I think obviously, adding those kids we just talked about, especially Travis, to it, and then you look at what Kevin Hester and I look at how much Miles improved. I just think the inside kids are going to be really good, and we got to find a way to replace the production we're getting from Taman. But yeah, I think we're making progress. I think the middle part of the year was really disappointing, and I think our kids learned a lot of lessons, and I think we've really improved.
And you mentioned before about how the front needs to get better, and you just alluded to it there. In your defense, how obviously the front's important, but how important is it to sort of setting everything up for the rest of the defensive unit? And with that being said, are guys like Miles Murphy and Keyshawn and Javari all making the kind of progress that you want to see to give you the kind of anticipation that, yeah, next year that group might be ready to be what you hoped it would be all along?
I think in college football, to be really good on defense, you have to have a really good front. And I think you look at the 4 teams in the playoffs, they've got really good front defenders, and I do believe, I think the improvement Javari Ritzy's made is off the charts. I mean, like working with him these last, 8-9 practices, like it's off the charts. So I just, he's a true freshman. So, he's really improved. Obviously, we're very happy with Miles. Keyshawn, I think, has improved, Keyshawn's had some injury things and some nagging things, nothing major, but I think he's improved. He's got a ton of reps these last 8-9 practices. So going to, get into a bowl and being able to practice as much as we've been able to practice. And we've practiced hard. I think Coach Brown's done a great job of managing our kids, some of the older kids, but getting the younger kids some real work. I feel like we've had another spring practice with these guys. So I'm excited about the front. I think I think it's going to be a real strength of our team here starting next year.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
CL Brown.
Jay, I wanted to ask you about South Carolina and kind of what the preparation is like, given that their late year starter, Jason Brown, entered the portal, so he's not going to be playing. And just kind of the guesswork going with how much of the package changes because, that Nolan might be the starter, or maybe they'll go back to Doty, or just, how you look at all of this.
A great question. I don't know how much the offense changed as an overall picture with the three quarterbacks. I think with Doty, it was probably a little bit more quarterback run than the other two. But we've prepared for the body of the offense. We've talked to our kids about, we've got to be ready for, Wildcat, number 5 at the receiver at quarterback. We got to be ready for all of it. And I think that's the great thing about a bowl game is people get 2 weeks to prepare for you, and you better have a good answer to things. So, the thing, Coach Brown, I feel like our bowl plans have been awesome. Like just how we've practiced, how we prepared, since I've been here, and this year's been no different. So I'm excited to see our kids play. I think we'll play really hard, and I think we'll be ready for, all the new things they're going to throw at us.
Yeah, and you mentioned that extra time. Like, how much do you just get into the minutiae? Like, do you literally watch every snap that they've played from this season? Like, does it get that technical, or, is it more about doing what you guys do well, and, the rest kind of takes care of itself?
I mean, CL, I watch everybody we plays every rep, right? But with our players, we try to break it down to defenses that we think are more structurally similar to us, and then we try to say, okay, look, this is how we're going to defend them, and this is what we do, and we focus on certain calls more than others depending on the opponent. But I think you be careful in bowl games, like saying like, oh man, this is what they do, right? Because they're going to watch their film too. We watched our film on defense and said, man, we're doing this on third down a lot. We're doing this in the red zone a lot, whatever the situation may be, and you try to fix it. So I think in the bowl game, and Coach Brown tells us all the time, you got to treat it like the first game of the season. And, you have an idea of how they're going to attack you. You have an idea of what their offense is, but you better be able to do what you do well and control your own destiny a little bit with how you play. And I think that's kind of been our message for our kids these last 8-9 practices.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Michael Coe.
Hey, Coach. So with Storm confirming that he would be coming back next year, how excited is he to sort of get a full year of starting under his belt? And how excited are you to have him back in the fold for another season?
Yeah, my first answer was going to be he's not as excited as I am. But no, I mean, Storm's awesome. Like I'm sitting here right now watching him work with our 2 young corners after practice. I mean, so I think to have a player of his caliber and his leadership back for another year is exciting for us.
And with Kyler sitting out the bowl game, who do you anticipate sort of moving up into his slot for the game?
I think we could put Trey Morrison out there. I think he'll probably play corner some. Obi Igbuna has been a kid who's really improved. We feel really strongly about. And then I think the 2 freshmen, Dante Balfour's played, and we're really excited about him. And I think it's been great for him to get these practices, and we put him with the ones. And so, I think Dante Balfour will play some, but we've got candidates back there, and Bray's done a great job building depth of that room. We feel pretty confident about that group.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Over to Dina King.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned defensive line. How difficult is it for a freshman defensive lineman to get comfortable, and what's the biggest adjustments that they have to face to get on the field?
Dina, so like we've been fortunate. Most of our D linemen have been kids that have been able to come in for spring practice, and I think that's really helped them because they're not just always the the biggest, strongest guy anymore. And so I think they get here and they realize, man, I gotta really work now. So I think, Travis coming in and Bo coming in and Malachi coming in and being able to, be with Coach Hess and his crew and then be with Coach Cross and Coach DeWitt and work in spring practice, I think has been huge. The biggest thing with defensive linemen, I think, versus like, being in the secondary or linebacker is it's a little bit less knowledge based. It's a little bit more physical readiness, so I think when you have a kid who you feel like is physically closer to being ready, like Javari was. I mean, Javari was physically very ready to play, and he's played, pretty significant snaps the whole year. So I think when you're physically ready as a D lineman, you have a better chance to play early.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we'll close up today. Back over to Ross Martin for one last question.
Hey, Coach. Yeah, we haven't really talked to you since the NC State game. So I was wondering how you approach kind of the mistakes made at the end there against NC State. Like how long you spent on that? What do you do? How do you coach that? Or I guess coach that out of them, kind of the issues there?
Ross, that's a great question. I appreciate you asking that. Ultimately it's on us, right? It's on me as coaches and the rest of the coaches. Like ultimately it's when we get in those situations, we've got to play the coverage the right way. And I think our kids have pride in how they compete and how they prepare. And, I think when you make a mistake like that, you got to own it. You got to come back in, you got to watch it. You can say, why did this happen? And then you got to move forward from it. And I think that's what we've tried to do, and, it wasn't easy. It was a hard thing to think about and watch and all that stuff, but you got to learn from it. And I think we will.
Great, Jay. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us today. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.